Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we can head off. We'll start with a quick opening statement from T.J. and then we'll toss it to you guys for questions.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. Well, hey, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. As everything's underway, we're about 10 days from opening. We're getting ready to embark on a 10-day, 11-day road trip. We open up in Arizona versus Northwestern, play at Arizona State on that Tuesday, and then we'll go down to Southern California, play at Irvine before having our first home game on March 1st. Then we go back on the road to open up Mountain West Conference play that first weekend of March at Air Force. The fall's been good. It was pretty challenging, I think, in a lot of aspects, but the players did a really nice job. They really competed, and there again, I think they're trying to learn the system. We're trying to learn them, and I thought we accomplished that, which is one of the main goals we set out to accomplish. And then now that we're getting ready to roll into the spring, now it's just fine-tuning a lot of things, making sure everybody's up to speed on what we're doing, and then we'll let the games dictate what they do. So that's all I got.
A lot of times when a new coach takes over, he talks about, I got to put my culture in and that kind of stuff. With this team coming off a Mountain West championship, do you feel like you've had to do that, or do you feel like the culture was pretty well set as you took the job?
No, I think any coach, to be honest with you, I think any coach wants to instill their own culture. The good thing is about our staff and what we're doing with this team is they have a lot of players that have won a lot of games. To win 41 games on the West Coast is really tough. But what people don't, maybe not look at is that we also lost 6 All-Mountain West Conference players and 3 All-Americans. So now when you're talking about building the culture, we do return 3 All-Mountain West Conference players in Stolo, Brooks, and Gregor. But when you're trying to build a culture, losing 6 guys that had a significant role in this team, you're like I said, you're just trying to bring my culture and our staff's culture along with what these guys already know, and you're trying to gel them together.
What do you see as the strengths of this group heading into the season? It seems like, a lot of pitching depth, maybe not like 1As, but a lot of depth there, and maybe that is the strength and kind of.
Yeah, no, you're right. The pitching's by far the strength of this team. We returned 65% of our pitching back. We returned 327 innings out of 505 innings. So that's a lot of innings coming back, as opposed to the offensive side, we only returned 649 at-bats. So you're thinking of Meyer, Howell, Byler, Kyle Hunt. You're thinking a lot of at-bats were lost. So going back to the strength is by far the pitching on the numbers side. You have, with the exception of a few guys, you do return the Mountain West Conference Pitcher of the Year, which is always helps, and then you return the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. So that always helps, but like I said, the pitching's by far the strength.
Does that kind of fit into how you want your team to play anyway?
Yeah, I knew that was coming too. So it kind of fits into what we're doing, pitching and defense. We gotta replace the middle of the field everywhere really. Your catcher, we gotta replace our 2 middle guys, and then our center fielder. But it fits exactly what we're trying to do. Once we do that, then we'll be all right.
Can you talk about how recruiting works with a staff of just a few coaches, and that's not just here, but it's everywhere, and how baseball recruiting goes? Because I know it's probably 365 for you.
Yeah, it's I'm actually chomping at the bit to get back on the road March 1st. We can go out again, but really the recruiting cycle goes from November 10th, November 11th. We're off the road from then until March 1. So it's March 1 all the way till the second week in November, and it's nonstop. Right now, I do always believe that right now during this quiet period or dead period, I think you can definitely make a wave in recruiting if you're diligent on your emails, your phone calls, your messages, and all that. But it's nonstop, and that's at the bottom line of what we all talk about, development. But it's about recruiting, and that's what this staff is doing. We're constantly on it. We meet constantly about players, recruiting. You're always not only assessing the players that are out there, but you're always assessing your team and really the operation that you're running. I think you do your staff and your team a disservice if you're not always doing that, looking for new innovative ways to really get better.
And if with you busy March, at least March through May, hopefully late May, and how do you continue to do that and keep your team focused on what they're doing?
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balance, especially I'm going to say with me myself really, because there is this recruiting background. But there again, I think that's why you surround yourself with good people. I feel like we've done that. We've surrounded ourselves with a lot of great coaches and staff that have recruited at a very, very high level. So there again, without taking away from our team, I think you have to pick your spots. I really do. I think, especially as a head coach, I think you got to pick your spots on when you can, when you take off days, when you can maybe leave practice an hour early to go here or there. But it's tough. It's time management, that's for sure. But the priority, with everything else, it's your team, and you can never forget about your current team because they are the priority. Recruiting is priority, but it's really 1A and 1B essentially because, like I said, this team has put in all this work, and to really start the season, you got to be with them majority of the time.
How do you think this opening road swing is going to prepare this team? I mean, it's kind of daunting, but man, if you can do that, it bodes well for the season.
Yeah, I mean, you got to win on the road. I mean, that's the bottom line. You got to play well on the road. I think it's good, to be honest with you, and I think it's really good. The timing's everything for me. This is really good timing. Brand new staff, some new players. Let's go on the road for 10 days and let's really make a wave on who we are going to be, and let's really have an identity of who the 2016 Nevada Wolfpack are going to be. So I think the timing's great. I really do. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Obviously, you're playing a lot of good teams. You're playing a Big Ten team. You're playing a Pac-12 team, and then you're playing, Irvine, who was just in Omaha 2 years ago. So it's definitely a great challenge. But I'm looking forward to the team coming together.
How much have you been? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Does road trips do that? Like get everyone out? I mean, you're kind of isolated from the rest of the world.
Yeah, you are. You're in a bus and you're in a hotel and you're constantly meeting. You're in breakfasts every morning. You're meeting at night. But it does. The distractions on the road don't seem to be quite as big sometimes as when you're at home. Because when you're at home, you have this and that, and you have other things to worry about. But on the road, there's nothing to do really but prepare and get ready to play the opponent that night.
How much have you been thinking about February 19th?
To be honest with you, not until this morning because I knew you were going to ask about it. It is February 19th, February 19th. Today's February 9th, and today's the most important day of the year. So I actually have not given it much thought. I know it's coming. I can't tell you I'm not blind to it. I do know it's coming. But there again, I think what message are you sending to your team? And today, as I'll tell them today when we prepare for practice, February 9th is the most important day of the year.
What are you hoping to see from your team in that first road trip? I mean, what are you hoping to take away from the end of that 10, 11 days?
A lot of wins. But, I think the most important thing is I'm looking forward to the process of them working the process, as we call it. And it's easy to say wins. It's easy to say do this or hit 4 home runs. But it's really not about that. That's all the end result of it. I'm looking forward to the process of it, to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to them being on the road. They've been at home now for 6 months. I mean, they've been comfortable for 6 months. School, practice, at home, at Piccoli. I'm looking forward to them just working the process about getting on the road, getting up at a decent hour, having breakfast, meetings. So that's what I'm looking forward to because, like I said, the road trips, they're great, to be honest. I love them. We're not going to play any opponent. We're going to play the game and see what happens. But I think the process of it, you have to really focus on the process of playing and doing what you can do and what you can control, really.
How much do you guys even talk about what happened last year, the success? I mean, is it something that you reference, or are you really trying to focus on this is this year, that was last year? What happened last year is no bearing on this year, or do you kind of pull from that success?
No, I think it's, it's like former players. Like I've always told this team from day one, and a lot of you guys have heard it, to write your future, you better know your past. And we have to be aware of the past. We don't talk about it a lot, but it's brought up. And it's brought up for a few reasons, one of them being that no matter what happens and no matter what this staff is trying to create, they know how to win. And times do get low every once in a while out there in practice and inter squads, and you feel like you're maybe not doing this or that, but they need to remember that this team knows how to win. And they have a lot of wins, and I'm going to reference it again, 41 wins on the West Coast. Really in college baseball, that's not common. So we reference it. Like I said, I think you reference it, and you got to pick your spots. You can't live off of it because, like I said, 2016 is a new year, and no one's worried about 41 wins last year in the other dugout. They're worried about the 2016 Nevada team that they're playing, and so we reference it, but you got to pick your spots.
You mentioned all the guys you lost, but you do return the conference player and pitcher of the year. Are you looking at Brooks and Stoll to be the leaders of this team?
I think there's a lot of them. To be honest with you, I think you got to throw Bryce Greger in the mix. And like I tell our players, between the lines, there's not really one leader. And I think good teams, they don't have just one leader. You always go back to these good teams, the Patriots, go back to the Bulls when they were really good. Yeah, Michael Jordan was the leader, but they had Scottie Pippen who was a leader in his own way and played a supporting role, or whoever. So I think we got some experience. Justin Bridgman's had some playing time. Bryce Greger's played, obviously an All Mountain West player. Stolo and Brooks are the conference player and pitcher of the year. T.J. Friedel's been here and seen Division I experience. Keaton Smith redshirt last year, but has seen Division I experience. I mean, Cole Christmas. You got a lot of guys that have seen a lot. Like I tell them, it's really how they're going to use their experience now that matters.
When you got a guy like Brooks, is there ever a concern to overuse? He's pitching, and every other day he's playing. Do you have a plan to maybe limit some of his outings on the mound? I mean, how do you go forward?
No, yeah, I mean, we're looking for Trenton to be one of the weekend starters. This is actually the first time I've said it publicly. So we're looking for that out of him, and so we're going to have to manage him. Being on his feet quite a bit, position player wise, playing in the outfield, and B, really infield outfield. I highly doubt he's going to take infield outfield. Just for the simple fact of saving his arm and keeping him healthy. So, like I said, we're looking to him to be a weekend starter, and that's what we want out of Trenton, as well as the offense. We want the offense to come along with him too. So we will. We're going to have to pay close attention to it. The last 2 months he's been on a pitching regimen in terms of throwing program, so he's healthy and ready to go on the pitching side. Along with taking his swings and managing his cage work and all that, and really just managing him staying on his feet.
Do you think he's going to play almost every game he doesn't pitch?
Yeah, I do. I think in some role he's going to be in the lineup. I've talked to him briefly about it. I've talked to him a little bit about whether he pitches whatever day he's going to pitch, DH in the next day or DH in 2 days later. And I think that's our staff's job also, as well as his, to be have really high communication on how he's feeling. And some pitchers are sore the very next day, the good sore. Some pitchers, their second day sore. So that's a big deal for our program, is to really monitor all our two-way guys, especially Trenton, and manage what day is his recovery day versus sore day and all that stuff. So we'll manage that. We're right on top of that. But we'll do the best we can along with him.
Have you found a back end for the pitching staff? 7th, 8th, 9th yet? Still working on that.
We're working on it. We think we have it pretty much nailed down. There again, we got 4 inter squads this week, so we're working on some things. But like I said, it's down to a few guys, and I think our 7, 8, 9 will be pretty good.
Mark Nowiczewski, is he ready to go for the season?
Mark is healthy. Mark's done a really good job. I know the fall was a little frustrating maybe for him. He didn't bounce back right away, as we all thought. But Mark's done a tremendous job. He's healthy. He's back. Mark will be one of the weekend starters opening weekend.
Among the guys that are new to the program or didn't get playing time last year, are there a few guys that come to your mind that you can single out to say these are some guys that we're looking towards that would be an impact on the team this year?
Yeah, I think everybody. I got to be honest. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of impact. Keaton Smith's in the mix in the middle, who redshirted last year. T.J. Friedel is going to open the year in center field. He's coming off of another redshirt year. Cole Krasmarzik's high, definitely in the mix. Fennell, I think Fennell had 75 at bats somewhere around there last year, but he's in the mix to play every day. Bridgman in the middle, along with a newcomer, Miles Mastrobuoni, and Keaton Smith. Those three guys make up our middle infield, sparingly with a few other guys sprinkled in. But those are the guys, if Caleb Foster is a true freshman, he's going to catch a little bit. We got we got two catchers. We got an older guy, a redshirt senior, and Justin Hazard, who's going to catch quite a bit, and then Caleb. Caleb's going to be ready to catch. Like I told Caleb last week, we got 4 games. We got a doubleheader. We open up with a doubleheader. You're going to be ready to catch the second game or the first game or whatever's called upon. Justin definitely will not catch both games. So we got it's going to be this team position player wise going to have a lot of guys in the mix. I don't think you can count out anybody. I think all hands are on deck at all times, and we'll be ready to go.
Coach, talk about Hazard a little bit. Kind of a nice luxury to bring in a senior like him from a power program, and what do you think he adds to this team?
Well, Hazard's Justin, he's seen a lot, and there again, I think you got to use your experience. When you talk about Justin, just experience alone, he has 3 Pac-12 championships, 2 trips to Omaha, and a national champion. So what more can you say about the value of him? He's caught a lot of arms. He's caught a lot of Major League arms. So there again, I just think the value of him and the pitcher-catcher relationship is, you just can't put a price on it. I think the leadership there, again, he's seen a lot. He can relate to a lot of these guys, and I think what he's done a really nice job of, not only with the pitching staff, but with Caleb Foster being a freshman. Caleb's in a unique spot because, most freshman catchers, that's hard to do, to come in and even catch half the games. But Justin's done a really nice job with him, being his mentor and bringing him along, because Justin wasn't in that boat 5 years ago. He redshirted. Then the next year he didn't play quite a bit, and then the next year it just kept a little more and more each year he played. So I think he's really helped, along with Coach Silverman, our catching coach. I think he's really done a nice job bringing Caleb along, but his leadership and his experience is going to be a high value.
As you got familiar with the guys in the fall, were there a couple standouts that kind of caught your eye, or maybe some probably what?
Brooks is a good player. I obviously was well aware of Trenton way before I came here, being from Southern California. I got a chance to see Trenton play a lot, in high school. T.J. Friedel, a center fielder for us, who's a left, can really run. He played a lockdown center field all fall. He's done a really nice job. I think Justin Bridgman did a really nice job in the middle, especially with the experience that we lost. He stepped in right away. Miles Mastrobuoni, Miles is a shortstop, a JC transfer from Northern California, and he did a really nice job. Those are some guys that stood out. In terms of our arms, like I said, I think we got a lot of arms. Stolo and Mark Nowaczewski, and you're talking, Trevor Sharpie, a new JC guy from Southern California at the back end of our bullpen, and he did a really nice job. Sam Held did a nice job. You got a lot of pieces. Zach Wilkins comes to mind. Zach's about as steady as they come. He never smiles, never frowns. He is who he is every day, and the professionalism is one that you really, really appreciate. So you got a lot of guys in the mix that I thought did a really nice job as the fall progressed. And then now into January, like I tell our team, January is always different than November. It's just that's just the way it is. And they came in prepared and healthy and ready to go.
There's a lot of homegrown talent on your rosters.
Yep.
Is that something you've been impressed with as the Northern Nevada talent?
Yeah, hey, I think, I always think I'm a little, I think I got a little more experience on that end than some other people coming from Coach Savage. He's born and raised here in Reno. Pete Savage is obviously the Savage family's born and raised. So, the last 5 years I've been with Coach, he's really, we've talked a lot about players and a lot of them in Northern Nevada. And I guess the best thing is he's educated me. So the first thing I did when we got here was we went out, and try to lock down Northern Nevada as best you can. So, impressed. Yeah, maybe a little, but not really, because like I said, I think I've been educated on it, and I'm not surprised. I mean, it's the West Coast, and it's Nevada. I mean, anytime you got the West Coast, there's a lot of good players. I mean, there really is. You just got to really sink your teeth into certain areas and lock them down. So I'm not that impressed. There's just a lot of good players here, and I'm fortunate enough that I feel like our staff's done a nice job with them. And trying to lock down those areas.
Are there any areas in Northern Nevada you'd like to get more into? Or not Northern Nevada, sorry, the West Coast?
Not really. I mean, I think as anytime you're recruiting on the West, I think you have to look at the West Coast. You better know north to south, east to west. I really do. So I don't think there's really one area. I think geographically, for us, we're right. We can get to a lot of areas. So I think we have to focus on finding the right players for not only our staff but really our system. And I know you guys probably hear that quite a bit, but you really got to find that player that's going to fit your system and fit and get your team better.
You guys obviously went through a pretty tragic situation with Austin passing. I guess how has your team coped with that? And you guys dedicating a year to him or anything?
It's been tough. I'm not going to lie and say it hasn't been tough. It's been difficult. And there again, I think as a 18 to 20-year-old player, you got to think a lot of these players is the first time they've dealt with tragedy. We will wear a patch. It's AG 20. It will be on our left sleeve above the state on our jersey, so we will wear that. Our guys take his jersey to practice just about every day, so we'll take his jersey on the road. We're constantly in touch with not with his players, but with his parents and his family. So his family are big supporters of us. We'll look forward to seeing them in Southern California when we see them. But hey, it's like I said, it was tough, and guys struggled. I shouldn't say just them. I think us as a staff, we struggled too. Here you have an 18-year-old person and a player that gave so much to university in such a short time, and just to lose their life so tragically, it was tough. But I think the best thing we did as a team is we faced it as a team, and we talked about it. We communicated a lot about it. We had sessions at night about it in the locker room, clubhouse. So we're not over it by any means, but we have honored him, and we will continue to honor Austin and his family. They're a part of the Nevada Wolfpack for the rest of their lives, and we couldn't be happier that he's touched our life along with his family.
This is a different situation for you as a head coach. I guess how is the feeling different as you enter, as the decision maker to get the wins and losses by your name, all of those things?
A lot more stuff to do sometimes. It's good, it's good. I think that's what you work for. I mean, to be honest with you, I was taught from Coach Savage a long time ago. You never, you just put your head down and do what you have to do to get your team ready for that day. And I guess I've taken the same approach. But really, the biggest difference now is now overseeing everything, making sure the pitching's ready, making sure the offense is ready, making sure I'm coordinating stuff with Coach Bennett on the pitching side. That's been a big difference, to be honest with you. But like I said, it's still baseball. It's still a lot of the same work. There again, I was fortunate enough to be under coach, and I was prepared for a lot of it in terms of the paperwork and different stuff on getting guys ready. He did just such a tremendous job at preparing not only me but our whole staff for it. So it's different, and at times it gets a little challenging. But like I said, you embrace every challenge, and you embrace the fortunate situation that I am in, and you go from there.
Anything else for TJ? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.